Hey ladies, my name is Jenny Chaffetz and I am the host of Sideline Sisters. Are you a busy mom, powerhouse professional, or high-achieving go-getter? This show is for no BS women who want to be inspired to get off the sidelines of their lives. Ever feel like you're playing small or safe or just on autopilot? My guests are relatable women who've gone on a journey, overcome challenges, and lived to share the lessons that we want to hear. These conversations will be funny, sad, scary, wise, encouraging, and most of all, real. So whether you're driving, doing chores, exercising, walking the dog, or just laying on the couch, settle in and enjoy. I want to invite you to take back your power, reignite your passions, and step off the sidelines. Let's go. Hey everyone, happy episode 99. My name is Jenny Chaffetz, and I am welcoming you for the second to last time to the Sideline Sisters podcast. Now, it is the Wednesday right before Halloween, so I want to present you with a treat, not a trick. If you've been paying attention, then you know this show is rebranding to The Flirty Vegan. Yes, I use the word vegan, which I know can be very triggering. Yes, I get that. But I want you to know that the true foundation of this show, the stories, the human aspect, is not going to change. I am still bringing on incredible guests every episode to tell their story of how finding a vegan lifestyle changed the trajectory of their lives. So these conversations will be motivating, heartfelt, shocking, exciting, comforting, and hopefully super freaking encouraging for you to consider this lifestyle. So the Flirty Vegan is for you if you are flirting with the idea of making a change, of going vegetarian, of going vegan, of doing something totally radical so that you can live a better life. Whatever better means for you. Healthier, more energetic, vibrant, longer, but not crappier. More engaged and connected, more loving and compassionate, because all of that is available through a vegan lifestyle. Today, interestingly, I'm bringing on my new friend Ginger Burr. And Ginger actually straddles the old mission of this show and the new mission. Now, before I tell you all about Ginger, I have to ask, how are you feeling? How are you really feeling? Like in your bones, in your soul? Because if anything is suboptimal, I'm talking weight, sleep, stress, skin, gut, blood pressure, cholesterol, sugar numbers. If anything is undesirable, then let's get on a free consultation call. Let's talk about it. I would love to show you what is possible for you, what a vegan lifestyle offers you. So if you tell me you sleep really poorly, so therefore wake up exhausted and cranky, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that, then I will tell you on this call what I think is going on and some suggestions, strategies that you can easily implement to rectify that situation. Same goes if you tell me you have high cholesterol, stomach aches, constant back pain. I want to hear what's going on for you so that I can offer you some ideas and tactical approaches to alleviating your pain. Because you deserve that. You really do. If you have become complacent to the things that are going wrong and you've chalked it up to bad genes or getting older, no, I really want to debunk that for you right now and let you know that you are entitled to a super healthy life. You are worthy of feeling amazing no matter how old you are. Or no matter what you've done up to this point. You're not doomed. Let's talk about it. So the link is in the show notes to book this free introductory coaching call, consultation call, whatever you'd like to call it. We'll get on Zoom, we'll talk. You'll walk away with some implementable ideas to feel better. And then If you're feeling inclined, then we decide to work together and do more over a longer period of time so that it really becomes who you are. But let's just get on that first call to assess what's going on, where you're at physically and mentally, and we go from there. The link is in the show notes. Now, let me tell you all about my beautiful friend, Ginger. For over 35 years, Ginger Burr, president of Total Image Consultants, has helped women around the world create a wardrobe they love by connecting with their inner essence. She has been interviewed by Allure Magazine, Worth Magazine, Forbes Magazine, and Bloomberg Businessweek, and was chosen as one of VegNews Magazine's most fascinating vegetarians for her innovative and groundbreaking work as a vegan image consultant. She is also the author of the book, That's So You, Create a Look You Love with Beauty, Style, and Grace. And she's the creator of the live online course, Create Your Personal Style in 6 Weeks. Ginger is an absolutely delightful human being. And if you watch the interview on Spotify or YouTube, you will see just how stunning she is. Now, let's get into episode 99 with Ginger Burr. Well, I am so pleased to welcome you, Ginger Burr, to the Sidelines Sisters podcast. Hi.
Hi. Thank you, Jenny. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you here, although I must admit that I was a little intimidated thinking, what should I wear? What color lipstick? Like, here's an image consultant that might be one of those people, like, you can't shut your brain off. So are you constantly looking at people and wanting to help? Is that a just a personality, I don't want to say flaw, but like burden that you carry?
Well, I guess sort of, although it did not even occur. You look lovely. It did not even occur to me. But, if I'm ever watching like the news or something, I think, why didn't
Yes,
that color,
I think that. And, this won't air for a little bit, but at the time that we're recording, the Emmys were last night.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I mean, that's just ripe for all of us too.
Yeah. I didn't watch it, but I'm ready to go and just look at the styles.
Yeah. Well, I'll circle back with you offline because there was one person in particular that what do we know sitting at home, but even my husband, armchair philosopher saying, who dressed her? Like, did they not have a mirror? Were they in the dark? That's just not doing anything for her. So it was not to shame her, but I felt like she could have.
It is interesting because you have to wonder, I mean, did she love it, or was she just going by somebody else's, not having seen it, by somebody else's suggestion? And hey, she might end up on somebody's best dress list. Really, when I look at the best dress, worst dress, which I was badly for the worst dress. I know they should do that, but I'm like, really, I would switch them or whatever. It's just, oh my God, who put that one on the worst, or it's so weird. It's so weird. That's why fashion to a certain extent is subjective. So yeah.
Well, I love that we're having this conversation today because this is part of a series of episodes that, for people who have been listening, know that we've done a few episodes already talking about unique style, personal style, what fashion means. And it is such an interesting conversation in this current moment with the fast fashion debate and fair trade and the cost of things, the easy access, the click now. It's such an interesting conversation. And I mean, I remember back when my father first started dating my stepmother, she had really nice clothes. She still has really nice clothes because she has good taste. But at the time, she was a little bit, probably a lot bit more, if she's listening, no offense, I think she would agree with this. She was a lot more frugal back when they first met. At the time she was a single mother, and now she's not. So maybe she was a little bit more on budget, but she was a quality over quantity gal from the moment I met her. So she had Prada shoes and Calvin Klein dresses, not Calvin Klein outlet, but like Calvin Klein I don't even know if there are Calvin Klein stores anymore, but there were 30 years ago. And so she had these brands that I looked at as, oh, like, aren't we special? But she didn't have a lot of things. She would wear the same shift dress over and over again, but this day with a long necklace, the next day with a scarf, the next day with a blazer. And so she always had that mindset of buy nice things and have less of them. But in this world now of, when she came into my life, there was no Amazon. There was no
Right.
internet. But now with the Amazon and just the blow up of fast fashion, it's so easy to say, it's only a $12 t-shirt, so I'll get that. And if it tears or fades after a couple washes, I'll discard it. So, what are your thoughts on fashion today?
Oh, so many. It's so funny that you bring this up too, because just this morning I was doing a color analysis for a client and we were chatting, and she's young, early 20s. And we were talking about, why she wanted to have a color palette. And one of the things she said is, I'm not into fast fashion. I am not going to go to Shein. And
Yep.
I was like, yes.
Wow.
He said, I want to buy with intention. Now, I'm going to generalize wildly here, but I've seen that a lot with the Gen Z women that I work with, that they are more thoughtful in what they bring into their wardrobe. They don't want a huge wardrobe. They don't want to do fast fashion. They want to be able to wear it for a while. They want to be able to mix and match. A lot of them like, consignment or thrift shopping,
Mm, yeah.
those kinds of things. And so it gives me hope that that's the direction we're going in. But then, I hear people say, well, like you said, I just picked it up at, Amazon and it was $12. I'll wear it
Yeah.
once and then that's it. And I'm thinking, if there's a particular reason, like maybe you hurt your shoulder and you have a hard time putting something on and you need something that you can get into easily, but, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
There's lots of reasons that may be that, but I believe that we all should have clothing that we love. And if you love that $12 t-shirt and you're going to wear it until, well, it might fall apart faster than, you expect, but, until it just is embarrassing to wear out anymore, then great.
Mhm.
But, I like the top I'm wearing right now. Really, I've had this top, I don't know, 13, 14 years. I love this top. I love the color. I love the way it
Mm.
fits.
Yeah.
I'm not getting rid of it till it falls apart, if it ever does. So I'm hoping that's where we're moving, but I don't know.
And see, I find that really surprising what you just said, because I would think, given that my kids are 18 and 20, around the same age of who you spoke to, not so much my son, but my daughter, it's TikTok shop all day long. And so that's what I'm thinking with Gen Z is, even though it's weird, it's like I listen to so many podcasts, and while they haven't yet responded to my invitation to come on this show, I will give a shout out to the Millennial Minimalists. They're a duo of women who are fantastic, and they talk a lot about, the capsule wardrobe and just having enough, not overdoing it. Like, why would you need six pairs of black boots? One is sufficient. And why do you need 32 pairs of underwear? How aren't you doing laundry every week? You really only need like 8 to 10 pairs of underwear. Like, it's just a very thoughtful approach that, unless you have a specialized interest that you're participating in regularly, why would you need multiple pairs of sneakers? Why do you need basketball sneakers and tennis sneakers and, fashion sneakers and cleats and golf shoes? Like, unless you're doing these things regularly, why have all this stuff? So they are very conscious of their purchases, their consumption, their discarding of things. But then I see the whole TikTok shop explosion. It's not going to have a long lifespan.
Yes. It's interesting because, given what I do, I have the opportunity, if I wanted to, show clothes from different designers. And just last week, or not last week, a couple weeks ago, I was contacted by Spanx.
Oh,
They said, would you take a look at, you can choose a few things, da da da. And I looked at their clothes and I thought, oh, okay, I kind of like these things.
yeah.
I chose four things, and there was no requirement for me to, get on to Instagram or
Social media. Yeah. Yeah. Promote
and
them.
show
Yep.
it. They wanted my feedback, but I
Oh,
liked
wow.
the pieces, so I showed them. That same week, I was contacted by another company. I won't mention the name, although they're a very good company. But I realized, my clients aren't going to buy their clothes. It's not the right fit for most of my clients. And to your point a minute ago, I don't want 4 million things in my wardrobe.
Yeah.
And I looked at their clothes, and a lot of their things are black, and I think some red. And I thought, I personally don't wear either of those colors.
Hmm.
So it's something that I would just be getting to for why?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
exactly? Doesn't so I regularly will turn down. I don't want a massive wardrobe. I
Yep.
want a wardrobe that fits in my closet neatly and then where I can see everything that's in there. So,
Yep.
I think we have to be more discriminating, but the problem is, and we can chat about this if you want, but the problem is a lot of times, and particularly as we get older, sometimes, women don't know what they want or
Hmm.
what works for them anymore, particularly if their bodies have shifted, those kinds of things. So they just buy stuff, hoping the next thing will work, or
Yeah.
because they saw an influencer, but maybe that influencer had a different body shape, different coloring, different all those things.
Yes.
So they end up with this wardrobe of like good enough stuff that
Yeah.
doesn't really make their heart sing.
Yeah. That's so true. We downsized a few years ago. And I got rid of, I would say, sometimes I exaggerate, but I'm going to try to be accurate. I would say at least 50% of my wardrobe. I mean, we got rid of most things in our home completely. So, furniture, dishes, everything. But with the clothing, I looked and said, and in the last 3 years since I did that, 3.5 years, I have only thought about a couple things that I kind of said, oh, maybe I shouldn't have gotten rid of those shoes. Those were kind of classic. Like, what do I wear pumps very often? No. But maybe I should have kept them because they were a really nice, like vintage brand and they were beautiful. But then I thought, but I don't have a use for them. So maybe someone else will wear them with gusto. It just became a we have a smaller house, less space, and I like you had just mentioned, I don't want to need like a magnifying glass and a headlamp to find what I'm going to wear today.
I know, that's so true. That's too funny. And well, the other thing we have to think about is sometimes when we see influencers, they like live in LA, where there's like, as far as I can tell, like one season. Now I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
we got LA people going, no, there's not.
It gets really cold at night. I need a parka.
I know when
Okay.
it's like, 60.
Right.
You know, now you and I know in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, we know,
Yes.
like, I do have a lot of coats.
Yeah.
Because, is it raining? Is it cold? Is it snowing? Is it, muggy? Is it, what is it doing out there? And what do I need in terms of the coat? One coat or even two coats
Yep.
isn't going to cut it. From September through April, not going to cut it. So,
No,
there
no.
are certain things that part of it is driven by where you live. Now, I love all of my coats. One of my coats, you may remember being vegan. You may remember this line. It was Vote Couture. Do you remember Vote Couture?
No.
She's been gone. Um,
Okay.
Leanne, who created it, she created this beautiful vegan coat line. If you wanted a vegan coat, you had to buy a parka if you were lucky. You could not buy a really pretty
Yep.
winter coat. And she made really pretty winter coats. So
Mm,
I have a coat of hers that I got probably 15, 16 years ago, something like that. I don't know. And I still wear it. It's beautiful.
yeah.
So I'm not getting rid of it. So, I love my coats and I wear
Hmm.
them all, but
Yeah.
so we have to look at where we live as well and what our needs are.
Yeah. It's such an interesting conversation. Well, I'm glad you mentioned the, the buzzy word between us, which is vegan. So what prompted you to go vegan is the first question. And then leading into how did that affect or transform your business?
Yeah, interesting because I haven't eaten red meat in 45 years or something like that. Really long time. But I didn't really know. I knew about vegetarianism and I was fairly close. I did eat chicken once in a while, but other than that, I was, pretty vegetarian for a very long time. And then one day, I've been vegan for 20 years now. One day, 20 years ago, I was reading a book called Plant Roots. Nobody's ever heard of it, but I still have it up here on my shelf because it's so transformative for me. Plant Roots. And what they talked about was if you eat dairy, you are directly contributing to the veal industry. Now, I did not eat veal. I hadn't eaten veal in 25 years. I would not
Yeah.
touch it.
Yeah.
To me, it was horrifying to me that
Right.
people ate that still.
It is so, and I apologize for the interruption. It is fascinating. And I want to just, give grace to all the listeners who are not vegan because that's probably most of them,
Yep.
in that you and I are admitting that at one point, for me, more recently than you, we ate meat. But the ability to compartmentalize and make these like categoric determinations about what's appropriate, what's food, what's not. I grew up during those very profound and effective anti-veal commercials.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
while many people don't watch the vegan documentaries, they don't want to see the factory farming and confinement lots and all that. A lot of us did see the veal commercials because you'd be watching your favorite show and then on comes the confined baby calf. And so we saw that, we processed that and made a decision not to eat veal. Many of us. I know I think my husband and I both, while we were meat eaters, were not veal eaters
Right, right,
because that troubled us,
right, right.
but not comprehending that while it was definitely wrong to eat the baby, we could eat the
Right.
parents.
I know, really. I know and you're right. It is easy. We do compartmentalize. And although this has changed somewhat now, but there was no support out there for introducing people to, okay, so you're not eating veal. Well, what about the adult? Nobody talked about that. They didn't
Yeah.
talk about that. And growing up, of course, I just ate meat. That's what
Yeah.
was served. We ate it. And then in my 20s, I'm like, no, I don't think so. And so when I found out that I had still been eating dairy for 25 years, how many little baby calves did I send to the slaughterhouse? I went vegan overnight. That was it. Boom, done. And that's just my nature.
And I did the same thing. But can you just and I know we're this was, I lured people in on the conversation of fashion, and now we're getting all
It's the fashion part in a minute for sure.
right. We'll get back to fashion, people. Just hang with us. What is it? Can you define what is it about eating dairy that means you are contributing to the veal industry?
Oh, well, when the dairy cow gives birth, it'll be either a girl or a boy. And if it's a girl, she becomes a dairy cow. If it's a boy, taken away from the mother within like 24 hours, something horrible. And people say, oh, well, in these little family farms, well, it's still eventually taken away.
Yeah.
Taken away, mother screaming, taken away, baby screaming. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be so graphic, but it just breaks my heart.
No, it is a horrific. And when I interviewed, again, sorry for the interruption, Jasmine Singer, who you
Oh,
probably know
Jasmine, I
from,
could Jasmine, yeah.
Vegan Icon, she said being vegan is a feminist issue for
It
her.
is.
And she talked about and so I have tried to use that explanation to people that it is, I said, in our country, we don't rip newborns away from mothers and then, sell them or chop them up and eat them. Like that's unconscionable amongst humans, but yet we do that to other sentient beings. And yes, cows feel a maternal bond, feel attachment, feel the horrific emotions that would be associated in that situation. But,
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, we don't want to get graphic, but this is the reality of the industry. So,
It's
just be informed and be informed purchasers.
heartbreaking to me. I couldn't bear it, and I knew that they were being shipped off, put in a little pen, and killed after a few months, for that nice tender baby meat. And I could not bear that, particularly with the fact that I had so consciously not eaten, meat for so many years. So dairy gone. And this was
Mhm.
even before there were so many vegan
Substitutes.
options. There are so many
Yeah.
dairy options now, like so.
I know. It's like not even an issue. And again, I'm interrupting you. I had interviewed Nicole Foster, who you may not know, but she's the CEO founder of a vegan ice cream company called Cashew Creamery. They're based out of Baltimore, but they ship. And not only is it cashew based ice cream, it's very clean. Like,
Mm,
so, I, look, I love a good vegan ice cream. If it's vegan, and especially if someone's going to provide that to me at a social gathering, I appreciate the gesture, even if it is off the supermarket shelf. However, the Cashew Creamery ingredients, I mean, there's like four,
yeah.
five ingredients compared to your like Planet Oat or Ben and Jerry's, which
Right.
I applaud them for their efforts. So no shade here.
Exactly. I mean, there are so many options now. And so, I am the kind of person that when I decide something, that's it, boom, done. I know
Yeah.
not everybody's like that. My wife, it took her 2 years, because we were reading the same book, and she,
That
she just kept saying, "But eggs, really?" I understand. A very good friend of mine was like, "Ginger, tell me again about eggs."
right, right.
Some
I
of the
know. I
ways
get the I get the egg comment all the time.
Oh
And
God.
while on eggs, like my brother has chickens and he said, "But how can you argue with the unfertilized eggs? Chickens just produce eggs." So he doesn't have a rooster. They're not fertilized eggs. So how do you argue with egg consumption when it's not an actual future chicken?
Well, I mean, I'm probably Jasmine could answer that better than me because they have like a bazillion chickens up there, in her sanctuary. But,
Yeah,
first of all, I don't believe in confining any animals, and
right.
I don't care if they're in the backyard or not, or a zoo or aquarium,
Right.
God forbid. All of those things I think are horrible. So, first of all, even before we get to the egg problem, we've got a chicken problem, I think.
See, it's not the chicken or the egg, it's the chicken.
Right, I know. That's right, exactly. What my understanding is that the chickens eat those eggs. But again, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a chicken person. But
Yeah, yeah. And I wasn't trying
yeah,
to like put you on
yeah,
the spot for an answer, but
yeah,
that was one that I said, I don't know. It just to me represents
right,
animal.
right,
So
right,
whether it can grow into a future animal or not, it's an animal byproduct and it seems wrong to me.
right. Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And then, I went vegan. Did I think about what that would do for my business? Because I had already been an image consultant for 18 years at that point. And I thought, oh my God, now because veganism is more than just, not eating those things. In fact, those have nothing, what you eat has nothing to do with, your wardrobe, but it has to do with what you wear and your beauty products and all those kinds of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had a moment of panic where I just thought, I mean, I wasn't going to go back, but I thought, oh my gosh, what will happen? And then I took a breath. I said, give yourself 15 minutes to worry about this, and then let's make it an adventure. That was
Yeah.
the thing. We're going to make this an adventure. And when I looked in my closet, I realized I had almost no wool because I always found wool very itchy.
Hmm.
Never particularly liked wool. Silk, I didn't have a ton of silk because silk, it's too fragile. Forget it.
Yeah.
And so the big thing that I had was leather,
Yep.
for my shoes and handbags. And I thought, okay, well, you know what? We'll just figure this out. And then I thought, okay, but that's, because I wanted to still feel like I looked good.
Right.
My business is very visual. So how I present myself is like one of my calling cards. And I realized I could still do it because most of my clothes were vegan.
Yeah.
And then I thought, but what about when I do any shopping or whatever with clients? And that's been a little, trickier, I have to say. When I'm doing any of my classes or I'm showing examples of things, or you see me on Instagram or wherever, any examples of anything that I ever show is vegan, anything.
Now, what about, and I heard a beautiful podcast interview with the actress Emily Deschanel,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and she's a openly proud vegan, and I heard her talk about thrifting, as you mentioned before. It's so popular, especially among the younger set. It just seems to have like this rebirth right now. What about wearing older vintage? If you already had leather, or I know it sounds crazy, fur in your closet, wouldn't that just be so disrespectful to discard all those items? And isn't it doing almost like a sacred, a ceremony, like doing some sort of ceremony by purchasing that leather jacket you see in the thrift shop, because you, being the vegan, will appreciate that more than the next customer? What are your thoughts on that?
It's a little complicated, and there are different schools of thought on the whole thrifting aspect of it. And for anybody who is interested in the fur controversy, I recently was invited to the board of Friends of Animals, and in this month's, and you can look at it online, in this month's newsletter, they have a whole thing on fur. So I recommend people go and read that.
Mhm.
They do great work. So yeah, it is some people will say, I couldn't just get rid of the leather shoes. I'm going to wear them till they wear out, and then
Mhm.
I'll buy vegan ones. I did not do that for a couple of reasons. One is I thought someone else will get these at the secondhand place.
Okay.
And also, I did not want someone to say, but you're wearing leather shoes.
Right.
And particularly given my kind of work, but even just, I was once at I used to do makeup for weddings and that kind of thing, and I was at a seminar, a workshop, and I asked a question about their makeup brushes that they had, and I said, "Are they synthetic or are they animal hair?" And I said, "Because I'm vegan," and she looked at me and she said, but you're wearing leather shoes. Because the thing is that even vegan shoes look like leather.
Of course.
No, they're not leather. So that kind of like, oh, okay. So, and she was trying to make it okay that they were not synthetic fibers, which now there's so many makeup brushes out there that are synthetic and they're fabulous. But even when I buy faux fur, which I don't buy a lot of it, but if I do, I make sure as much as I can that it doesn't look real.
Right.
I don't want it to look real. I don't want
Yeah.
anybody mistaking. And I do have a faux fur scarf that I wear. I have a little button on it that just says faux fur.
Not.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's good,
Yeah.
whatever. I just had to do that. So yeah, it's so there are some people who are like, you know what, if I go and thrift it, that's fine. I'm not buying something new. But eventually, if the whole world goes vegan, which is sort of
Right.
my hope,
I know. I
those
know. I say it all the time.
yeah, those things won't even be in the secondhand stores, never mind regular stores. But yeah, it's whatever someone wants to do is fine. I just encourage people to go vegan, to learn more about this. I'm happy to talk to anybody who's on the fence about it. But I had a moment in my business where I'm just like, will I be able to still do this with integrity and
Yeah.
that, and style? I mean, that's what I do. And I feel like I have now, if I'm shopping for someone, a private client, and I'm shopping for them and they, are looking for shoes and they wear leather, I will show them leather shoes. But if I'm doing something where I'm teaching a class or whatever, my examples are always vegan, always, always, always.
Sorry to interrupt this incredible interview, but I have to tell you guys about vegan lifestyle coaching. Veganism is my passion. Yes, you've heard me say that, but so is health and helping people feel their best. We have become so complacent and tolerant of feeling crappy that it's mind blowing. And we have also accepted that we are all going to grow old and get sick. that mentality has to stop because it's not true. It doesn't have to be the inevitable course. Whether you've strongly thought about going vegan or it's just kind of come up in passing, doesn't matter. I would love the opportunity to get on a call with you to hear what's stopping you from going all the way and see if we can strategize together. Because this really is the healthiest, most joy-filled, abundant way of eating and living. So be sure to check the show notes and you'll see a link to book this free call. Share it with your friends. And now let's get back to the episode. It's incredible how many new designers and new stores are popping up that are playing with different kinds of fibers and different kinds of creations. Like when I hear about banana leaf or coconut this or pineapple something, it's like, that is so innovative.
Well, do you know about the Materials Innovation Initiative? I think it is, MII.
No.
Oh my gosh, they really work on connecting brands and new fibers together to make those clothes and or shoes or whatever. And recently I just saw somebody, I mean, this isn't fashion, but I saw somebody who built a boat out of mushrooms. And went like a lot of miles out of mushrooms. Amazing what we can do out there. You're right. Apples, mushrooms, kombucha tea leaves. I mean, there's all kinds of things. Pineapple.
Yeah.
There are lots of there's lots of innovation out there. So yeah, it's and the other thing, and again, we don't have to get into this because I know we've been talking about veganism for quite a while, but people like to think that things like wool and silk are super, environmentally friendly. No, they are not. They are not. And we don't need to get into that, but I just encourage people to do a little bit of research on that because even though they call them natural fibers, they are very processed, very processed.
Well, I mean, it's like you could take that argument and go in so many different directions. Like cocaine is kind of a natural product, but are we promoting that on every corner? Come on. I mean, there are things that have shown up in natural ways that are just not aligned with values.
Right, right. It's, I know a lot of people get very bent out of shape about some of this conversation because it's a hard one. You know what? It's how sometimes we've lived for decades a certain way. And then to hear that, oh, but that causes harm, it hurt my heart when I learned, started, doing research into this. So I know that it does. So I get it. I get it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to trigger anyone, but it's real, and we've just become very adept at shutting that part of our vision and brain off.
Because we're not encouraged to,
Well, I mean, so many of us wouldn't function on a day-to-day basis if we thought about human trafficking all day long. If we thought about
too, yeah.
right, various injustices around the world would keep us in the fetal position. So this is just another one that it's easy to say, nope, I just get thee to a steakhouse and put my blinders on.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a tricky conversation, but it's the thing I learned in all of this was that I could still maintain the style that I wanted to maintain and my veganism and support my veganism as well, that the two went hand in hand. I was determined to find a way and it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. So
and that's the best part of all. That is the greatest thing you could have said.
Totally.
At all. Yeah.
No.
So for the listeners to calm their nerves right now, we'll just
I know we
shift a tiny bit. Let's just talk about fashion again and tell me, what is your opinion or what are your thoughts about individual style? How has yours shifted over the years of your life? Talk about that. Talk about an individual's style.
Well, it's really interesting because I've worked with, so many women and a lot of them will say things to me like, you know what, when I was 20, I could put on anything and I looked great. And now, my body has shifted and whatever, and things don't look as good as they used to. I was one of those people who I struggled in my teens and my 20s. I rarely felt like I looked the way I wanted to look, or I look at a friend of mine, I put on an outfit that she was wearing, and I think, well, how come it looks like 1,000 times better on her and I look stupid? People probably didn't think that, but I thought that.
Mhm.
And then when I was in my just turning 30, I met someone who was offering a workshop, a 3-day workshop called Fashion, Color, and Image. And I thought, oh, that sounds fun. I'm going to go take that. Maybe I'll get some answers. And it was mind blowing. I mean, absolutely. This woman was able to help me identify, or at least begin to identify, the areas where I was frustrated when it came to color, or for me, makeup. I mean, I'm a redhead. My eyebrows are actually so blonde you can't even see them. So are my eyelashes. So when people would put makeup on me, I would look like a clown. She taught me how to be able to do makeup so that it looked natural. And she taught me about style. And I'm like, oh, that answers that question and that question and that question. And sure, I had to practice and all of that. But I realized through that I couldn't be the only woman who was struggling with this issue. And I was picking up the concepts very quickly, and I knew I could make a difference in women's lives. And so I asked this woman, her name was Navina, I asked her to train me, and she said yes. And so that was it. From there, I just realized that I wanted to keep learning about it. I knew, you and I were talking a little bit about this before we actually started recording, but the world of fashion is it's a jungle out there, and it also can be very subjective. And so there aren't as many really hard and fast tools, and so it can be hard, feel like you're guessing a lot of times at how to make choices that really work for you. And so basically I have 3 tools that I work with every one of my clients on, because those can begin to help you home in on the areas, and or just sort of narrow down the number of variables, if you will. And so one is a color palette, so that you know what colors look really good on you. That makes it easier to shop and put outfits together. The other one is something called the Fashion Fit Formula, which helps to identify perfect lengths for you,
Mm.
tops, coats, skirts, sleeves, whatever it is. And the last one, and this is to me one of the most important, and that is, who are you? Because what we want to do is be able to choose a wardrobe for you that reflects who you are on the inside. Absolutely. I call it your inner beauty. How do we identify what your inner beauty is? What makes you you? And I've done inner beauty consultations with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, I don't know, maybe thousands of women. And I have everyone's inner beauty words, except very few in the very beginning. And no 2 women have ever had exactly the same inner beauty words, because that's how unique every one of us is. And that information is critical to be able to choose a wardrobe, because you can look good in a lot of things. But if you don't feel great in what you have on your body, even if it looks good, you're not going to want to wear it. It's going to feel off. And so figuring out who you are in the inside, and then learning how to express that in the clothing options that you make, that's the third tool. And those are the things that I've worked with clients on for decades.
Mm. I love that. Now, are there rules? Like, what is your perspective on the fashion rules that we encounter? You mentioned color palette, what colors look best. Is there really such thing as, don't wear that color, you don't look good in red, you don't look good in white, or don't wear that pattern, you should never wear argyle, you shouldn't wear paisley, that's too busy for you? What are your thoughts on the rules that we hear?
So, depending on who you talk to, you may get different rules. And that's part of what makes it so complicated. But one of the things that I've done is that, as women, we're kind of trained to believe that getting dressed should be easy, effortless. And I'll tell you right now, it's not, particularly as we get older. And have to work with a fashion industry that really creates fashions for 20-year-olds, not for someone who's 40 or 50 or 60 or 70, and or for those bodies, a lot of times. And so we have to be able to learn to assess for ourselves. So what happened when the pandemic hit and I was no longer able, at least for a little while, to be able to see anyone in person? I thought, well, I've always wanted to create an online class where I'm online teaching it. And I looked at where are the areas that people struggle, that my clients struggle. And I created 6 different classes that identified those areas so that I could help the people in the class to learn how to be able to assess things for them. So one is who are you, the whole inner beauty aspect. One is how do you create a foundation? Because if you've ever gone shopping and you thought, oh, I really love this, and then you get home and you're like, but what do I wear it with? You know? Often, well, there can be a number of reasons, but many times it's because you don't have the foundational, you haven't built a foundation in your wardrobe. So when you bring things in, you can actually create an outfit. What you just talked to a minute ago, how do you choose a print? How do you look at the contrast level, the different shapes that come in prints, the scale of the prints, all those kinds of things? How do you identify them? How do you pick shoes? How do you pick jewelry? All of those kinds of things, because each of us is unique. And yes, there are trends that happen out there, and they'll say, "Oh my gosh, you can't wear it." And right now, I was told not too long ago, okay, the Gen Zs are not wearing ankle socks. They're wearing crew socks. So if you wear ankle socks, you are so out of style. I just think, oh my God, you're going to make us all mental with all these trends.
Yes.
So, I look at the bigger picture with people and help them to be able to assess things for them. And that's what's really important.
Yeah, it's like, you know how you walk into Home Goods and you want everything. You're like, "Oh, I didn't know I needed pillows shaped like ghosts until
Right.
I saw them at Home Goods and thought, wow, that's clever." Or all the gadgets, like who would have thought that I needed something to cut a pineapple a certain way, and just you shop and you're like, I need all of it. And there's the home decor, home item area, and then there's clothing. And you go into a department store or a mall or a virtual store like say Amazon, and it's yes, it's like I want all of it, I want none of it. I don't know. I none of this is how is there not a piece of clothing on the entire Amazon site that appeals to me or that
Right.
I think would look good on me.
Because it's overwhelming. It's
Yeah.
also, and even when I used to shop, excuse me, used to shop in stores, I now do all my shopping virtually for my clients, which I used to do even before the pandemic. But when I used to go in, I could tell the second a client walked into like Lord and Taylor, which it used to be my favorite.
R.I.P. Yeah.
And I could watch their eyes go, "Oh my God, there's too much stuff."
Yeah.
Like, take a breath. That's why I'm here. Do you have your color palette with you? Let's start to make this more manageable for you, because it's overwhelming. And it's so funny because I mean, I'm good at being able to navigate through a clothing store. But in order for me to understand exactly what my clients go through, those who don't like to shop and who are overwhelmed by going into a department store or TJ Maxx or something like that,
Yeah.
put me in Home Depot. And I'm like, get me out of here. Like, what is all this? How come there are like 400,000 screws? I mean, I don't know what those are for. I don't know. Where's the one I want,
Right.
And I know that's how my clients feel when they go
Yes.
into stores. And so my job is to make that more manageable, either because I'm doing shopping for them or giving them the tools that they need to be able to more easily assess things and say, no, no, no. Ooh, let me go look at that.
Are you a believer that all women should have certain staples? Because I remember getting a book when I was in college, the Smart Woman's Guide to Wardrobe or something. I don't even, I think a magazine might have put out this hardcover. It was a beautiful book on how to create outfits that I got when I was 20. And it was like reading a fairy tale book. I'd flip through these pictures and I'm like, oh, isn't that cute? That little nautical themed outfit. That's nice. I like the way the navy blazer and the striped shirt. Oh, but it also has a Parisian look to it and things that I must have. And then you go and collect them and you're like, why did I get this navy blazer with the gold buttons and the beret. I look like a moron.
You're funny. No, I don't believe in those at all. I can tell you right now, they'll have a little black dress in there. They'll have a white button-down shirt. They'll have a pair of, black knee-high boots. I do have those only because for a long time you couldn't find brown. I prefer brown, but now brown's out. Brown is, I've even heard brown is the new black. Not everybody will agree, but I don't have a little black dress. I never wear black.
I was gonna say I don't have a white button down. I don't think.
I
I think I had 3 or 4 before we moved, and I got rid of all of them because I said, when am I wearing a white button down?
no, no, I'm not. They might say you need a pair of loafers. Well, I've tried to find a pair of loafers that I like. I will still look, but I have as yet, I have clients who love loafers and rock them. I have yet to find a pair of loafers that I feel good in and represent my inner beauty words. So, I don't believe in those lists. I think it's more personalized than we need to be more personalized than that.
Oh, that's refreshing to hear because
Good.
I feel like, most people, especially with the talk of the capsule wardrobe, it's like you need to have these 10 things and then you can create 100,000 different outfits with them.
Well, it's interesting because yeah, they do tend to do that. One of the things I work with clients on, and I do it in that 6-week class too, is capsule wardrobes. But there are a lot of different ways you can create a capsule wardrobe. It does not have to have the little black dress and the white button down or whatever else they tell you is supposed to be in these things. No, you create one that makes sense for your lifestyle, very important, your personality, your inner beauty, what you do, your budget, where you live. There's like a million different things. You create it for you. And that is what I think makes it fun. I don't want to be dressing like everybody else. And my clients don't either. And I would have gone out of business a long time ago if my goal was to dress everybody like me. Boring, boring, boring. I want to get in your head, figure out who are you, and then let's create a wardrobe that makes your heart sing.
Mm. So besides working with you directly, what little nuggets of wisdom could you offer the listener who's thinking, I have no style, or my closet's a disaster. I have pieces of everybody else's personality. How do I find my own look?
Yeah, yeah. So, well, one thing that's really easy, I did write a book called That's
Ah,
So You, Create a Look You Love with Beauty, Style, and Grace. And this can walk you through some of those steps to get you started. And it comes in a Kindle version too. So,
beautiful.
pretty inexpensive way to do it. Another way is go to my website, go to my blog. I have years worth of articles on there on every imaginable topic. So go and explore those. Go to my YouTube channel. I have like a ton of videos on there, sharing some of my tips and styles that I've seen that I like and all those kinds of things. You can just go on and review all of that. Get on my mailing list. I mean, what I'm working on right now is something called the Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered fashion trend update for the fall. And what I do is I take, and people who are old enough and remember that song know what I'm
Yes.
talking about, but I take the fashions that I see out there, the trends that I see out there, and I put them either into, Bewitched, Bothered, or whoever thought that was a good idea. And I give you tons of suggestions, like 100 different suggestions within those different trends. That'll be coming out soon, or I don't know when this
Ooh,
is being released, the podcast. So even if it's already been out, you'll be able to find it on my blog.
that sounds fantastic.
There's so many ways that you can go and explore the different possibilities and start getting the answers that you're looking for to move you forward.
Mm. So what are your identity, your personal,
My
your
interview.
inner beauty words? Yeah.
So mine are quietly exquisite, controlled fire. Being a redhead, I am fiery, but I'm also a Virgo. And I know you can't tell here, but I'm actually am an introvert. So I'm not like, out there screaming and yelling. I'm controlled fire. I am
Mm.
seriously determined. So very straightforward in that way. And I'm kindly diplomatic. So those are my inner beauty words. And that's what I always use when I get dressed. Always, always.
What does a kindly diplomatic
I
outfit
know. So
look
people are
like?
like, what is compassionate is one of my inner beauty words. So those kinds of softer words, you're going to often do either slightly softer colors within your color palette. So that can mean different things to different people. Softer fabrics, something a little more flowing, nothing really jarring or super highly structured, or if it is highly structured, it's going to be in a softer fabric. There has to be something that's softer about whatever's going on. If you have those kinds of empathetic or compassionate or kind or caring or whatever, gentle or whatever those words might be as part of your inner beauty words, when you express that part, you will need those things I just mentioned. But an inner beauty word doesn't just operate all by itself. It's influenced by at least one other of your inner beauty words. So you have to keep that in mind as well. So for instance, controlled fire, I've got controlled fire on right now with this color.
Yeah.
Got softer flowing fabric, which speaks to the kindly diplomatic. And then I have I think these are exquisite. So these are my quietly exquisite controlled fire earrings. So yeah, it's all fun.
Yeah, I was just going to say, now you're taking the overwhelm out of it and bringing in the fun.
That's exactly right. Exactly. That's the goal, is to make it more manageable and more satisfying and hopefully more fun and joyful.
That's so good. Oh, Ginger, this is such a treat. I have so loved this conversation.
Oh my goodness, you're a blast to talk to.
Oh, you're kind. And that was just plain kind. Not, I wouldn't say kindly diplomatic. That was like fiery kind. I love it.
Yeah, there you go. I love it.
Can you please tell the listeners where to find and follow you?
Sure. You can find my website is totalimageconsultants.com, and that does have an S at the end, consultants. You can find me on all social media, Ginger Burr. I'm everywhere, although I haven't been doing as much on TikTok lately. And you can, I have a YouTube channel, which you can either find by going to my website and there's a little thing you can click on, or in YouTube, I'm Ginger Burr TIC, which stands for Total Image Consultants. You can find my YouTube channel there. And if ever you can't find anything, just shoot me an email or message me or whatever, and I'll help you find what it is you need to find. But yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And I'll have all the links in the show notes so everyone can just click easily and not even have to do a deep dive.
There you go. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, on this note, I would like to invite you to raise a glass.
There we go. There we go.
Yep. I know. I love it. I'm like, we've got a controlled fire drink there.
There we go. That's right.
Nice. And let's say cheers to making fashion manageable, fun, and hopefully cruelty-free.
Absolutely. I raise my glass to that.
Cheers.
Lovely.
Thank you, Ginger, for this beautiful conversation. I love what you're doing, and I just want everyone to go check out your business and see what they can learn from you and hire you.
Thank you, Jenny. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure.
How great is Ginger? Now, if you were listening to this interview on a traditional podcast app, I want to encourage you to follow this show on my YouTube channel. And the link is in the show notes. The name is Sideline Sisters and Gentle Coaching, but very soon it will just be The Flirty Vegan. By watching an interview, you get more of your senses involved. You get to see as well as hear, and seeing someone like Ginger is just so delightful. So check that out. And what I loved about this conversation is that Ginger hit upon all of the things that are important to me that I want to showcase here on this podcast. She brought her deep values into her work, and she stands by them and doesn't let being vegan interfere or hide in her work. She's able to bridge her compassion for animals and the planet and her love of fashion. Now let's get into Ginger's notes from the sidelines. Number 1, we should all have clothing we love. And for that, we need to be more discriminating. Number 2, veganism is more than what you eat. So many people think it's just a food thing, but it really is about what you wear and what you use. Number 3, wool and silk are not environmentally friendly. So please do your research. Natural fibers can actually mean very processed. And side note, there's a lot of information out there if you wanted to go down the path of learning more about the wool industry. It's actually quite horrifying, and it has completely changed my perspective on that fiber now that I know the torture and cruelty involved in producing wool for clothing and rugs. It's just really devastating. So it's something to look into if all you thought was sheep getting a haircut. It's just not so. Number 4, you can look good in a lot of things, but if you don't feel great, then you're not going to wear them, in which case having those things is very wasteful. Number 5, the concept of a capsule wardrobe does not have to mean specific basics like the white button down or little black dress. It simply means having a tighter, more streamlined wardrobe, less pieces, but they can completely jive with your personality. So a pink and purple plaid blazer might be part of your capsule wardrobe if it's something that can mix and match with other items in your capsule wardrobe. Does that make sense? All right. And finally, number 6, let's make fashion more manageable, satisfying, fun, and joyful. And for help and inspiration with that, go ahead and check out Ginger's content. Read her book, check her blog, follow her YouTube videos. There's so much out there. So again, I want to say thank you to Ginger. This has been a phenomenal fashion series, and I'm thrilled to have concluded with our conversation. And thank you to you for tuning in. I found this conversation so interesting and uplifting, so I encourage you to share it with all your friends who have a little bit of twinkle when it comes to fashion. I want to remind you to check the show notes for the link for a free introductory coaching session with me as I rebrand into the flirty vegan and focus my business on connecting with women who are flirting with the idea of vegan, vegetarian, really just shaking things up so that you can look and feel your best and also do your best for the planet. So that link is in the show notes along with Ginger's, and I'm so grateful that you're here with me for this journey and excited for next week's 100th episode, where I will be joined by legendary Boston news anchor Liz Bruner. I'm so honored and thrilled to share that conversation with you. So please tune in, have an amazing week, and cheers to you.